Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Let's Chat Live, a show where we do weekly live interviews to connect you with the voices behind the podcasts that you want to listen to. I am your host, Robert, and with me today is Stephen from Cyber Time Bite. Stephen, can you tell us a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah, I'm the host of the podcast Cyber Time Bite. I also do in the servers bit with servers breakdown. Me and servers breakdown actually were on this podcast a little bit ago, like a little like while ago, like a few episodes back, and it was really cool to do. My podcast is their Cyber Time Bite is literally an interview kind of podcast where I interview people in interests that I really like cosplay and the con scene, the convention scene, and all that stuff, and more other things like that, and wrestling as well. And in the servers bit is more topic based, so we do topics and we talk about those topics and stuff like that. So that's me. That's my podcasting stuff. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for being here with us and guest hosting with me tonight. So I'm not here all by my lonesome because I get a little nervous sometimes. But today we have the wonderful opportunity to be joined with Jodi from a show called Audio Branding. Jodi does voiceover work and has been singing since she was able to speak. She loves comic books, D&D, and a whole lot more. She created Audio Branding and helps you keep a consistent sound in how you present your company because it's the hidden gem of marketing. So please let me bring in Jodi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, welcome to the show. It's
Thank you so
very
much.
wonderful for you to have you with us.
It's great to be here.
So we were chatting a little bit before, and I've did a little bit of reading on your website, but I'm really interested to hear how you got into voiceover work.
Huh. You know what? It took a while for it to percolate in the back of my brain when I first discovered it was actually a thing. And it took a while for that to happen. So I actually didn't know that it was a thing that you could do until about 1995. I volunteered my time to read books onto tape for the blind, the CNIB, which is the Canadian National Institute for the Blind here in Toronto. And I did that for about a year, and I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed both the reading and speaking onto tape and the actual tech, which I got a thrill from. I kind of really liked the reel-to-reel stuff. It was fun. And I just enjoyed learning all about it. So I think that kind of got the bug in my head, about that this is a thing and maybe I should look into it. But I was already doing SEO and internet marketing at that time. So I kind of went in that direction because I figured that would be a more stable career.
Yeah.
I was kind of wrong. Honestly, I was kind of wrong. I did it until Google became the only game in town and the art and science stopped becoming art and science, and it just got boring to me. I got bored. I hate being bored. I just hate being bored. So,
I can understand that.
yeah,
Don't we all?
yeah. It's probably a big problem for a lot of people, but it makes me do things. And what it made me do was it made me switch my focus. And so one day I was doing SEO and internet marketing, and the other day I said, well, I'm done with this. Okay, let's do this. And I just went and did, okay. So I did research online, and I found a website that had a message board that I joined and started talking with other voice actors to find out what I needed to do to get started. And I made all the mistakes along the way. I didn't get coaching. I made a demo from a demo mill before I was ready. And what a demo mill will do basically is they'll take anyone with a credit card and they'll make them a demo. And it'll sound professional, but if you don't have the coaching and the know-how to know what you're doing,
Right.
your demo still sounds like crap, even though it technically is beautiful. Do
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, because it's not highlighting you in any good light. which is what a demo is supposed to do. So, so yeah, I made that mistake. I went on the message boards and put this new demo all over the message board saying how proud I was of it. And then got, roundly kind of slapped in the face and said,
Oh.
"What the hell are you doing?" And once I picked myself up the ground and had my little cry,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I asked one of the people who was the most vocal about his criticism what I could do to solve this. Like, help! What do I do?
Right.
And he was kind enough to take me under his wing and send me scripts, and I'd send him an MP3. This is back in 2007, 2008. So pretty early on. It wasn't quite as easy to get things produced. And for us, the peons who didn't have studios to actually like have the ability to record something and send out an MP3. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't something everyone was doing.
Everything back then was just so much harder because the technology wasn't as advanced as it is today.
Exactly. Yeah, there just wasn't as
Yeah.
much out there. So we would exchange MP3s. He would give me a script. I'd perform the script. I'd send him an MP3. Then he would send me an MP3 critiquing it and telling me what I needed to change. And then I'd do it again, and I'd keep doing it until he got satisfied. And when he was satisfied, he helped me make a demo. And that demo actually was a lot better than the one that I had spent a whole lot of money on previously. So, lesson learned. And I now tell every voice actor that wants to get into this that the first thing you need to do is get coaching,
Okay.
because you just don't know what you don't know.
Well, no, that's I think a good thing for life is you don't know what you don't know. And
Exactly.
I tell my kids all the time, the best thing about a mistake is you learn how to fix it.
This
So
is true. Yes. So I learned how to fix it.
that's awesome. That's very cool.
Like when it comes to like fixing your mistakes, you're always gonna find that thing that you're not gonna know. And like you always should get coaching like on stuff that you don't know, like how I totally got coached to do broadcasting back when I went to broadcasting school for that 1 year.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of it. I didn't know how to run a board before I went to school.
Yeah.
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 I mean, you have to learn these things, and someone who knows them has to teach you, or else you're just perpetuating bad habits.
Yeah.
So,
Very, very true.
yeah. And that person, that coach, will tell you when you are ready to make a demo so that you don't make the mistake I made and spend a whole lot of money on a demo you can't use.
Right.
There you go. Biggest
Yeah.
piece of advice I could give anyone.
So yeah, so since you do voice acting, have you ever got to meet like any of like the bigger names like Tara Strachan and John DiMaggio and those kind of guys? Have you got to meet them for your voice acting stuff?
I haven't actually. I admire them hugely. I'm not an animation video games person though, so I'm not generally running in their circles.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, you kind of have to be in LA to get into that. And I never really wanted to. That's not really what I do. So
Yeah.
and I'm fine with that.
No. I also noticed on your website that somewhere in your background, you have a love for Dungeons and Dragons.
I do. I have a
I-
huge dice collection, like huge. Like I have a
There's
tackle
nothing wrong with
box.
that.
Nothing wrong.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
It's my collection, my precious.
So before we get into the nitty gritty of your show, I kind of tell me about your Dungeons and Dragons story. How did you get into it?
Oh my goodness, I've been doing that since probably I was 18, which is really long ago now. Yeah.
Trust me. It's my driver's license is old enough to drink, so
Oh, yeah,
I get you.
get it. Okay.
I get that.
So, yeah, a really long time ago, a friend of mine in high school decided to start running a game. And I played, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, that's what happens when you first start. But you have fun. And then I went to university and I met a bunch of different people, and I started attending the gaming club at Ryerson, which is one of the downtown Toronto colleges. And I just met a whole bunch of people. And from there, and I wasn't even going to Ryerson. I was at a completely different university. But I was introduced there by some people that I knew, and I just started hanging out there and playing with the people who were there. And I met lots of people there that I still know to this day, actually. And in fact, a number of people that I met at that Ryerson Gaming Club, I then have been playing on a regular basis with for probably the last, 25 years.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we've kind of fallen off for a little while because of COVID, because we were all getting together in person, and that's not happening right now.
No.
And one guy moved an hour and a half away, and, another person is doing too much and couldn't attend anymore. And so it's a smaller number of us, but yeah, we just haven't been able to play because of COVID. And so it's probably been over a year since we've been in person, since I've seen these guys.
Oh man.
So yeah, it's tough, and they're on Xbox. I like when I'm playing No Man's Sky. We'll chat sometimes on Xbox because Microsoft, because I have a PC machine and it's all Microsoft-ish. I have the Xbox app on my computer, and when I play No Man's Sky on my computer, it logs me into the app, and the app is where I can chat with them because they're on their actual Xboxes. It's cross-platform.
Tried that yet.
It's kind of cool. It's cross-platform, and it works really nicely. But and voice too. Like we can actually chat with each other over voice. So yeah. I have been playing a remote game on Thursday nights from around 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock Eastern, and we sometimes stream to Twitch and then put it on to YouTube later.
Okay.
And it's fun. It's fun. I'm having a good time. It's fairly new though, and it has a really, really, really tiny audience. Like it's not, we're not Critical Role here.
Right.
Like this is Party Adventure Zone or anything like
that. Yeah. No, we're not. That's not what it is. Yeah.
If I heard you're on PS4.
No.
Yeah. I'll need to get that Twitch channel later. So because I'll drop a subscription. So
sure, yeah, by all means. But we're having fun, and that's really the only way I've managed to actually keep up with my D&D through all this COVID craziness.
I tried a little bit of the virtual, and it just, I don't know, it felt a little different just because I couldn't see everybody else rolling their dice.
Oh, I see. Well, we use D&D Beyond, which actually lets
did that
you.
Too.
Yeah. So right now, it actually, when you hit the roll button and it rolls your dice for you, everyone can see what the dice roll is.
They've changed that since I last.
Yes, they've changed it. Yes.
Wow.
So everyone can see it now, which means no one can flub anything.
Yeah. And when I was using it, it just like popped up a number, and I was like, "That's kind of anticlimactic."
Yeah. No, they have really nice looking dice now on D&D Beyond. You got to try that out.
Okay.
Like, my dice fetish is totally being fed by it.
I will try that.
Yeah.
I have an account on D&D Beyond because that's where my one character I made is on.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's a great service. I actually really like it, but I didn't have to buy a subscription. You do have to buy the dice. They actually ask you. They ask you to buy. You don't have to buy any dice. They give you a set, but if you want the pretty dice,
right?
Which, I mean, I can't resist. I'm sorry.
I've done that.
I can't. So I did actually buy the dice, but you can use it forever. And if your GM actually has the account, you don't actually need to pay on a monthly basis. You can just have, I think, up to 6 characters.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I think Newt wants to be acknowledged.
Yes. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Told you, he gets loud.
Yes. That's okay. Hello, Newt. Hello.
The cat wants to be nurtured.
Yes, he does.
He wants in on the video.
He probably does. He may jump up at some point. But
okay, yeah.
So going back to your podcast, where What made you decide you wanted to start a podcast?
I was in a business mastermind group, and a lot of the people in that mastermind were starting podcasts or already had them.
Mhm.
And they were saying that it was one of the best ways they had to connect to the audience that they wanted to attract. And I thought, well, wow, that's kind of cool. Why not? Why not give it a try? I mean, as a voice actor, I'm kind of uniquely situated to make that work. So, it seemed like a logical extension of what I do. And like most of the things that I do, I started off by making a mistake.
Don't we all?
Well, yeah, I have a talent. What can I say?
Yeah.
Because if you listen to the very first episode of my podcast,
Mhm.
oh man, the issues. I was like stumbling and I didn't know what I was doing because it was my first ever episode of the
Yeah.
podcast. So I mean,
Yeah, I was lucky enough to start a baby podcast. The very first thing that I did was something called Jodi's Silver Linings, which was just a little, I don't know what you'd call it, like life wisdom.
Hmm.
It was self-care for creatives is what I kind of subtitled it. And because I'm generally an introvert, I have a very large sensitivity for how I need to treat my own psyche in order to make sure that I get through a day without being too stressed.
Okay.
And a lot of us have that need.
Very
And I
much so.
understand that need. So a lot of what I talked about in that podcast was, live in the moment. You don't need to take photos every 5 seconds. You can actually just experience what you're doing. You don't need to be productive every second of the day. You actually can relax for a bit. It might help you get back to work and be more energized while you're doing it. Things like that. And they were generally pretty short. And I started interviewing people about halfway through, but I only got like 30 episodes. And I didn't have an intro, I didn't have an outro. I just did it. I just, you know, uh, uh, yeah, there's a phrase called start ugly. Chris Kermitzos, who runs Podfest, actually
Mhm.
wrote a book called Start Ugly. And it's very apropos of what I did.
Write that down.
So 30 episodes, and people started asking me to be a life coach because I guess that was the impression they got of the expertise I was trying to put out there in the world with this podcast. And that wasn't my intention at all. So, mistake on my part because I did 30 episodes of something that really I wasn't going to follow through with.
Mm.
And I went back to the drawing board, and the mastermind helped me again and said, well, what are you really passionate about? And I'm really passionate about sound because I sing, I do voiceovers. Sound is important to everything I do. And
Right.
it's hard sometimes to get the creative directors and the video production people and the content creators to understand how important it is, that it should not be an afterthought. And then, even if they understand it, often their end client doesn't understand it. So they have to explain to their end client why it's important. And so I thought, well, why not have a podcast that actually talks about this and why it's important? And interview people who are the creative directors, who are the video production people, who are the filmmakers, who are the content creators, who are the healers. Because I've talked with people about ASMR and also binaural beats and healing tones, and a shamanic sound healer from Australia, and that was really awesome. And all sorts of people like public speakers, a woman who teaches people how to like the sound of their own voice and understand the power of it, and it helps them in all aspects of their life. People who do all sorts of things. People who know about the psychology behind advertising and all of that sort of thing. One of the fellows I interviewed actually does the wind sounds for casino slot machines. And that was a fact. Well, he's really interesting. A guy named John McClane. and he has a sound studio in Las Vegas. And he also works in film. He does all sorts of sound design for all sorts of different projects. And that's one of them. But he also teaches a course at UNLV. So he teaches a music and film course. And so talking with him about the power of sound was really, really interesting. Just all sorts of things that I actually didn't really realize until I started talking to people. And I'm learning a ton as I go. I don't put myself forward as the expert per se. I more use the show as a way to put a spotlight on the people who are experts, and I'm more of a facilitator. You know,
Right.
I want people to know about them. I want them to understand that this is important. And I'm hoping to raise all boats. That's kind of the idea.
I mean, like you run. I mean, your concept seems so cool. I mean, it sounds like a show that like I do, like my kind of like the show I do, but except you are doing more of like you subject your guests to like to the sound, like to sounds and all that stuff, and like. I mean, fair to say, I never listened to an episode of your podcast. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But
You can do it after this. Oh, sorry, putting you on the spot there.
no, it's fine. But
I
no,
like it.
I'm pretty sure your show is amazing. I love interview things like that. I mean that's why I listen to possibly Joe Rogan every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I mean like how was I gonna word it? You know how you have like the brain fart when you're like trying to.
Oh yeah, totally. It's all good. It's all good. We can move on, and if you remember, you can let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to remember, actually.
That's actually how I have to walk away, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, because now I'm in my head.
Yes.
So so the tagline, the recognizable sound. What does that mean to you, and what do you think that should mean to others, your clients that you're talking to, or the producers of, like you were talking about videos?
Well, recognizable sound is a component of a bunch of things, and I
Okay.
think consistency is one of those huge ones. Because if you're going to change your sound all the time, you're not going to be recognized. So the idea behind audio branding is an entire audio package that is the breadth of your entire company. So it's your brand DNA. It's actually the sound built into who you are. And you use it in multiple different touch points. So you'd use it in your music, you'd use it in your ringtones, you'd use it in the transaction sounds that would come through Alexa or Google Home. You'd use it on your on-hold. You'd use it as in your videos, any videos you did for your website, any ads, of course, pre-rolls, anything like that, anything that you do at a trade show. There's all sorts of different audio touch points where you could have a recognizable sound for your company that mirrors who you are. And it could be evoked from the colors and the logo and the fonts that you use in your visuals, but it should be an entire package. In fact, as much as you can manage it, your company should have an entire sensory experience, if you can manage it. Because the more sensory touch points you can have, the more impactful your company is going to be, the more memorable you're going to be.
Yeah.
So recognizable really to me means memorable.
That I've never thought about it that way, and that makes too much sense that I'm almost ashamed that I've never thought of it that way.
Well, think of Intel, right? Like we all, those of us who grew up with Intel, we remember seeing them and hearing that da 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 on every commercial, every tech commercial we heard for years.
Yeah.
It was a huge thing. But eventually what happened was that you didn't need to see that logo at all. Who cared about the logo?
Yeah.
All you had to do was hear that sound. And you hear that sound, you know exactly who you were talking about, who you were hearing from. And this is becoming even more and more it's really becoming
Just major.
important because we're going sound first in a lot of different places, like Alexa and Google Home and smart homes and smart cars and all of these things that are happening. And all of these experiences, it's hard to make them visual in a way because there is no visual. So how do you differentiate yourself from a brand that does pretty much exactly what you do when there's no visual? How do you do that? You do
Yeah.
that with sound. It's pretty much the only way you can do it.
Here's the sound for Apple. Ching.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, probably, yes.
Huh. Well, so we have a question here. So Chris Revel, the wonderful creator,
I
huge
rebel.
Hey,
fan.
Chris.
Hold on.
Have you ever seen the show I Know That Voice?
Yeah, it's actually a documentary.
Oh yeah.
And it was really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of just about everybody that was mentioned in that film. Mark Hamill especially, I have to say,
Yeah.
because he's amazing.
He really is.
Yeah, yeah. That
I
the Joker. Oh my God, that is brilliant. It's
it,
just brilliant.
I love,
I I love watching him in interviews where he puts on his character and it
Hmm.
just I mean I've done a little bit of stage work, but I've never done any voice acting, and just I don't know why I didn't think about it, but you're doing the same thing. You're becoming a character.
Hmm.
So watching him, the physicality of everything that he puts into it is he's amazing.
Yeah, well, any voice actor will tell you there is a physicality to this, definitely, because if
Mhm.
your body does something, your voice follows. That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah.
That's how we're built.
I heard I forgot who told me this, but I heard like the guy. It was a voice actor on Dragon Ball Z, and you
Hmm.
know how Dragon Ball Z can be. That's an intense show. Like I heard like some guy was like was like voicing the Kami Kami Ha thing, and they wrote and like they like really pushed it out that they did it so fiercely that they had to be sent to the hospital because it like wrecked their vocal cord or something because it was.
Oh, yeah, you
Yeah.
really do have to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Take yeah. Take care of your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can be tough to do sometimes, especially when you're doing video games and doing death scenes for 4 hours.
I,
Another reason I don't do video games.
yeah. Although that I have a friend from college who uh, did a voice acting gig for a well-known video game, and I was sitting there playing it, and his character came on, and I heard his voice, and I was like, "Wait, that's Steve."
Yeah.
And because I had no idea that he'd gotten that gig,
Uh-huh.
and I called him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I did that like 6 months ago." And I was like, "What?" It's just
Yeah.
bizarre.
Well, in a lot of cases, the voice actors can't even say anything until the game is actually out. And by that time, they've forgotten they did it because they did
Yeah,
it 6 months ago.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Um, so you were talking a little bit before about some of the guests that you've had on your show,
mhm.
and I was scrolling through, and who would you say has been the most memorable guest that
Oh
you've
my
had?
goodness. I mention him every time I'm going to call out Steve Keller. I pretty much mention him every time because he is the Sonic Strategy Director over at Pandora. And what I loved about our interview was that he regularly blew my mind in the two-parter. And
Mhm.
just about everything that he had to say was like, what? Really? What? like, it really was an amazing interview. And what I loved about him, he was the fellow I was saying has psychology, music, and he's an ad guy. And so that combination is really fascinating because he thinks of this from so many different facets.
Mm.
And it's really amazing the amount of work that goes into this. So, yeah, I loved that interview. And yeah, I mention it every time I can.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
So, and for Steven's sake, since he's going to go and listen to an episode as soon as
Yes.
we're done,
Yeah.
and for everybody else who hasn't had the opportunity, if you had one episode to pick to just say, this is my demo reel, this is
Okay.
where I want you to jump in head
Yeah, yeah.
first, which one would that be?
Well, Steve's episode is number 19, so it's
Okay.
pretty early on. I'm at actually episode 69, and episode 70 is coming out on Wednesday morning.
Congratulations.
So it's been a while. But yeah, the first part of his interview is episode 19,
Okay.
and 20 is the second. But I do have a trailer at the top of my audiobrandingpodcast.com page, and that it's like 2 minutes, and it'll give you a really good idea of what to expect.
Okay.
If
Well,
you
there.
if you can pack the whole thing in 2 minutes, that's like amazing.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's hard to get it all into 2 minutes, but I just want to give people an idea of what they can expect. I mean, really, this is an exploration for anyone who wants to go down this rabbit hole.
Mhm.
And it is a rabbit hole, believe me.
A real rabbit hole.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go, Stephen. Episode 19 is that's your homework for this evening.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I will.
And from a technical side, I'm very curious to learn more about your setup, because I see you're in. Is that a soundproof booth?
Yes. Well, soundproof, no. Sound treated, yes.
Okay.
So this is a 5x4 booth.
Okay.
The walls are like this thick. They're like pretty big.
Mhm.
And it's built in pieces. So each wall is 2 pieces, and then the ceiling and the floor and the door. And it's basically built so that I can screw it together and then unscrew it and take it with me if I want to move.
Oh.
That's good.
But it works. It works very nicely. Yeah. And
It sounds very good.
yes, that's the point.
That
Yes.
is the point.
Well, when I'm doing work for a client, the bottom line for them is I can't color this sound almost at all. Like, they want as dead a sound as possible so that they can color it and produce it the way that they want, because they'll add things to it to make it fit to their video and match with their music, etc. So the cleaner and the less room noise I give them, I don't compress anything. I don't, there's no nothing on the audio. And
Okay.
I don't pre-treat anything. So, pardon me. So I have a Steinberg UR22C. That's my audio interface. And this is a Sennheiser 416. So it's a shotgun mic. And it works really, really nicely. And I love it because it's actually very directional. So it cuts out the sound on either sides, really. Like, it's pointed like towards here.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, mic
Yeah.
placement is a lot of how you can get really good sound, because if your mic is placed in the proper position, then you're not popping your P's. That's not happening because you're not blowing directly into the mic. You're blowing across it.
Right. And now I'm feeling a little self-conscious.
I thought you were like in
I
your,
didn't mean to make you do that. Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta do some adjusting real quick.
this dude over here has to do some adjusting.
Yeah.
No, but like, I thought you were like in like your dungeon layer for your Dungeons and Dragons. It's just like,
No.
Although when I'm doing my virtual, this is where I am.
Yeah.
it's nice
Yep.
stuff. I like it.
Thank you.
What kind of software are you recording into?
I use Adobe Audition, the Creative Cloud Edition, so I'm pretty as up to date as possible. But that's new as of my new computer at the end of October. So, that's a new thing.
Congratulations on the new computer too.
Thank you. I'm very happy with it.
Yes.
I'm the only one here that doesn't have one of those fancy PCs.
Well, I just decided, we were discussing earlier, I just decided that it was time to upgrade my my computer, which was still working but was a little sluggish, was 5 years old, and I
Hmm.
was still on Windows 7. And I actually really liked Windows 7. I almost like cried going to Windows 10.
Windows 7 is amazing, though. I mean, I love Windows 7.
Seven.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a
7
personal
was.
Windows. I'm personally a Windows 95 guy, but that's just me.
Okay, okay. Now you're going real nostalgic.
3.1. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Windows 10 is good. I'm glad I skipped Windows 8 because
Oh yeah, I never
it was
went to
horrendous.
Windows 8
No.
ever. That was my D&D 4th edition.
W- Windows 8 actually made me get a MacBook. I was like, nope.
Really? Oh, is
I
that bad? Okay.
Oh, is that bad?
Ouch.
I do love my MacBook though.
Mhm.
It's pretty nice, mostly because I can unlock it with my watch, and that's I feel like I'm living in the future.
That is pretty cool. I have to say, that's very cool.
Robert's just taking his watch and going like, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
Well, the sad thing is, then my 2-year-old starts pushing buttons on my wrist, and my computer starts making noise. And I'm like,
Oh no. Oops. That's funny. Yeah, I have one Apple product in my entire house, and that is my iPad. And so and it's like an old Apple, like it's an Air 2, I think.
Mhm.
So it's pretty old at this point. However, it is new enough that I'm able to use it for Clubhouse.
There you go.
Yeah. So
That works.
the only Apple product that I have in my entire house. And I have snuck onto Clubhouse with all of those iOS people who have no idea.
I'm not really sure.
Love it.
What is Clubhouse? I mean, like,
Clubhouse is it's like a speaking app. It's yeah, it's only audio, and
Mhm.
it's kind of like the profile pictures that you get like from your Twitter or your Instagram.
Mhm.
And the only thing you see is the picture, and then people open rooms, and you can go into those rooms, and you can either sit in the audience or you can raise your hand. There's like a button that you press, raise your hand, and then they bring you up onto the stage, and you mute yourself the minute that you get up there, because otherwise you're blasting whatever to everybody on the stage,
yeah,
everybody in the room.
you're just making disturbance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and then you wait your turn, and you join in a conversation. And there are moderators, and rooms go forever.
Mhm.
I'm going to put this out there too. There is a guy named Brittlestar who has a YouTube channel, which I highly recommend that you have a look at. He's almost quintessentially Canadian. And being a Canadian, I feel for him, But he has a YouTube music video on there called "Don't Invite Me to Your Clubhouse," because as he observes in the music video, they never end. So your friend asks you to go into this clubhouse, and they haven't given you an end time. So you have to sit there and listen and listen and listen, and it just goes on and on and on. And like some of these rooms go 24/7.
Wow.
Not all of them. Not all of them. But there are some that actually, they're built that way. But you can sometimes get invited to these rooms, and they'll be never ending. You think they were going to go on an hour, and it's 3 or 4 hours, and you're looking for an escape.
Gotta go.
Well, you if you're on the stage, you can actually
Yeah.
tell people you have to go. And there's
Wow.
actually a button that says leave quietly. So if you're
Oh,
in the
I love it.
audience, you can just leave quietly and no one will know. It does announce when you're in. It announces when you join the room. It doesn't
Okay.
announce when you leave,
That's good.
which I kind of like.
My
But
wife.
anyway, that's a really funny song, so
Yeah.
I highely recommend it.
I made a note.
Okay.
That, and I've got the book note, Start Ugly. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I have a clubhouse too, actually. I do something regularly on Wednesdays at
Okay.
2 p.m. because that's the morning that my podcast episodes drop. So, because I'm talking about audio branding in my podcast, the room that I create is called Audio Branding, The Power of Sound. And we just discuss all sorts of things that have to do with that. But I actually made a club now that the room is under, and the club is called The Power of Sound. So anyone can join and anyone can create a room that has to do with sound. And I have all sorts of people interested in participating, and it's been a lot of fun. I've probably done it for a month and a half now, I think, something like that.
My wife just sent me a Clubhouse invitation, so I need to actually accept it and get in.
Yeah, it is very interesting. But yeah, if you do decide to join, feel free to follow, and I can help you out.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So I got a question. Knowing, so you're from Canada, right?
Yes.
So you gotta tell me, from a Canadian standpoint, Tim Hortons or Caribou or Munchkins over Timbits. What out of those two things would you prefer?
Well, okay, Timbits are really good, but I haven't had one in a really long time. Tim Hortons is okay coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't call it great, but then I'm not a Starbucks fan either because Starbucks tastes burnt to me.
100%.
Yeah, so I'm actually a Pete's fan, believe it or not. I have a subscription for Pete's Coffee, Major Dickinson's blend, which is sent to me on a monthly basis because I can't buy it here. You guys can walk into your Walmart and just get it, right? Like, I can't do that here.
Yeah.
So that, and I get their Keurig cups, which are harder to get here too. So, in life, there are things that you just have to indulge in just to make life worth living,
Yes.
And coffee, my coffee is one of them.
Yes.
Because I've been to Tim Hortons before, not in actual Canada, but like in a Michigan store, and you guys, you Canadians make great coffee.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's bad or anything. It's just kind of tasteless to me. It doesn't have too much of a taste, but then that can be a sort of good thing because that burnt taste isn't there, and it doesn't have a bitter aftertaste. So, but like Tim Hortons coffee is not meant to be had black. Tim Hortons coffee is meant to be had with like 2 cream, 2 sugar, like double, right?
Yeah.
It's
flavor.
That's how it's made.
Yeah. I put stuff in my coffee, so
yeah, stuff. Yes.
Yes.
Would you care to elaborate, Robert? Stuff? No, Ken.
It's whatever flavor of the month. So this month it's I think I've got French vanilla.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
It's really good. I like that.
What we do in our coffee maker, we have a coffee maker that grinds at the same time it brews.
Oh, yeah.
So it grinds and then it brews through. And it's a Black & Decker. It's like this really cheap machine, but it actually works really well. And we use the Pete's whole bean and we grind it, the Pete's Major Dickinson's blend, and we grind it. But we also put a little bit of salt, just a little, just like a touch of salt, and some cinnamon or some pumpkin spice.
Ooh,
just
like
before it's ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then the salt cuts down on the bitterness just a little bit, and the cinnamon or the pumpkin spice flavor kind of comes through in the grounds. And you want to brew it through. You don't want to add it after because adding it after makes it bitter.
Right.
So yeah,
I've
gotten pretty good at this.
I need to be taking more notes. Okay. I said,
I'm really picky about my coffee, but it's just for my taste. It's not for anyone else's. Well, my husband can stand it.
Right. We just bought a new coffee maker, so I don't think I'm going to be able to talk my wife into letting me get one that grounds the beans at the beginning. But
yeah,
that's a purchase she might be down for. She loves her coffee.
Yeah.
No, it's just tell her that you're getting the most premium coffee beans that you can ever find, and then she'll let you buy it.
We met 10 years ago now, I guess.
Mhm.
She used to work at a place that served coffee. And when she was working there, she said she drank 10 to 12 cups of coffee a day.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
like, how?
I know, that's a lot. I can have 1 cup in the morning. Like 1 cup a day. And okay, cup is being quite liberal actually. It's a mug that's about 15 ounces.
Yeah, mine
So,
too.
I mean, yeah, I'm no 11-ounce wimpy stuff for me.
No.
No, no. But at the same time, that one mug is all I can handle in a day. That's it. And the rest of the day, it's tea for me.
I if it's a if it's a really long day, maybe I can do the second cup later in the
Hmm.
afternoon. But
Yep.
no, I don't know how she functioned on that much caffeine.
I guess you do what you have to do, right?
Do you
Uh,
like the lemonade iced tea half and half stuff? Do you like that tea, or are you more like green tea, hot tea kind of person?
I'm used to green tea with ginger. Actually, there's a company. David's Tea is one that I know you guys have access to. That's I think the tea version of Starbucks. I think they have like a tea company that they yeah. So that's called David's Tea, and there's another tea here in Canada called Tea Lish. It's Tealish.
mhm.
And I don't know if they ship to the US, but they might. They have some really nice blends of tea, and one of them is called Ginger Sparkle. I know, isn't that a lovely name?
Sparkling ginger.
Yes, Sparkle Ginger. Yes, Ginger Sparkle is what it's called. Yes, and it's green tea with like a ginger kind of orange peel sort of extra oomph to it, which is really lovely.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and green tea I find is really nice for a nice little boost, but it doesn't make me jittery,
Hmm.
which is nice because coffee does kind of make me jittery.
Yes. Uh,
As much as I love it,
as
I have
much
to
as I,
limit my intake.
I'm getting to the age now where it slowly starts to eat my stomach, and I'm like, I can't do more of this. It hurts.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a good plan.
No,
But
but
yeah, so I will have caffeine stuff until probably about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, maybe a little later. But
mhm,
then beyond that, I'm all herbal tea. So, yeah. And Tealish has something called chocolate mint, which is really yummy.
that
Now
sounds delicious.
it smells wonderful. It's just tea. Like there's nothing in there. It just is tea, and it tastes like tea.
Hmm.
So, so your nose is misleading you a little, but it still is such a wonderful experience to drink it that I love it.
As a thing that a tea that tricks the nose but tastes 100% different.
Yeah, well, it kind of does because like you're smelling chocolate and mint and you're thinking it's going to be sweet when really all it is basically hot water,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it smells really good.
I, we got really into loose leaf tea for a while just
Hmm.
because it smells so amazing.
Well, what I do is I actually have a Keurig machine. So I have a Keurig machine with like a little empty, those empty Keurig cups that you can fill. So
Uh,
I have loose tea and I put it in the empty Keurig cups and I brew the tea through the Keurig.
that is brilliant.
And it's super fast and wonderful.
That is brilliant. Oh, I don't have a Keurig anymore. Oh well. Oh
Well, they're
well.
they're not expensive.
No, 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 no.
You can buy one at Walmart for like $500 or something less.
Oh, it's not
Way
500.
less.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You can get one for less than $100 at this point, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that I lied. I have one in my office,
Okay.
so I can do
Yeah.
that at work.
Yes.
They do sell a special machine where it is like you can have like a pot of coffee but also make the mug at the same time. They sell
Hmm.
something
Mhm.
like that. So
Yeah. I've been looking at some new ones because I know that the fairly cheapo Black& Decker one that we have right now, they don't make it anymore. And the basket where the blades are, and it bruised through, is kind of like one of the handles kind of fell off the. You can sort of pop it back in place, but it falls out of its place all the time. So
Mhm.
slightly annoying, but we'll use it until it doesn't work anymore.
Yes.
Because
I'm
the
sorry.
alternative is around $300.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which,
Okay, maybe I'm not talking into it.
honestly, I would do it. I would do it because I love my coffee that much, and it's a
Mhm.
one-time buy that you buy and you use for many years, hopefully.
Mhm.
But I don't want to do it until I have to.
Mm.
That's how I am with my gaming. I don't switch to the new console until I have to.
Well, yeah, we kind of did that with our computers, right?
Yeah. I she let me spend the money on this one. Although I told her that I was getting a cheaper graphics card so that when because it was right as the new ones were coming out. I was like, so
Ah,
just so I can put a new one in later,
that
see
makes
how that
sense.
goes.
Yes.
Um, so, so back to your show.
Yeah, we talked about everything else.
We talked about cheap graphic cards, but we haven't talked about the amazing sound.
Um, what
It's
would
all
you
good.
say is what would you say has been the biggest challenge that you've faced just breaking into the podcast world?
You know, like a lot of people would say the producing, and I wouldn't say that. That's actually not been my problem because I do my own audio engineering, and that's not an issue. Also, I was lucky enough to have a really talented voice actor friend of mine help me out with the interviews and editing them. So his name is Umberto Franco, and he's in Portugal, and he does really, really good work. And basically, he's my co-producer. So that makes it a lot easier on me when I don't have to edit the interviews. Whoa, does that make it easier?
Yeah.
But I have found that the interviewing actually has been the most. It's the thing that I've grown into the most,
Mhm.
because being a good interviewer means actively listening all the time and knowing how to ask insightful questions that will get something out of your guest that maybe they didn't think you were going to ask, or that they hadn't thought they were going to reveal.
Great.
You know what I mean? Like, getting stories out of people is really where the interest lies. And that is an art. Interviewing people is definitely an art. It's something that I'm still learning and probably will always learn, just like voice acting, which I continually coach in. You never stop learning, but
Mm.
I'm doing my best to entice people in the introduction so that I know I've told them what's in it for them. And that's been a learning curve, definitely, because I was just saying their bio, which makes sense. But like, why would anyone care? You have to add in that extra little something to sort of get them interested. And then the interviewing process itself and research on the interview. So it can take a lot of time. I know you know what I mean.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. And especially since this isn't a background that I've ever had, it's
Hmm.
it's it's kind of feel like you've been thrown into a pool and you're not sure how to swim yet.
Yeah. So you get better as you go.
You do.
But it is definitely a learning process, and it's one that I kind of jumped into the deep end in. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, and you said one of the key terms, the active listening,
Hmm.
is, and that's just
Yeah, I saw the tail. Yeah.
I felt it.
You didn't know how the podcast like boom.
Hello, Newt.
Wow.
Oh, that's too
Uh,
funny.
he's not active listening.
No,
He's all in his own world.
because he doesn't care.
No, he
You
does
are
not
there to
care.
serve him, human.
That is right. He's about to let me know that I didn't feed him correctly.
Oh, well, okay
So,
then.
because
Not enough.
Mommy gives him wet food, and I don't. I'm like, nope.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm. You'll get it in
So
the
he's
morning. You'll be fine.
displeased.
Probably.
Ah, poor Newt.
Yeah.
So hard done by.
It's a hard life for a cat.
Yeah. Yes.
He spends the entire day hiding from a 2-year-old, mostly gets to sleep under a bed, emerges, and runs around.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey.
I can see how that would be a bit of a tough life, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Being terrorized by a small human probably is a little frightening.
That's hard on him. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey.
I'm actually allergic to cats personally, so I mean,
Oh yeah.
so it would be kind of terrible if I went over to his house and pet his cat and touched my face. Not good.
No.
My wife is also semi-allergic, but somehow I think he's a little bit. He's hiding behind me. He's a little bit better. So
Yeah. I'm actually not allergic to cats. I am allergic to dogs, strangely enough. I think it's the dander.
it's
the dander that dogs have. It just does not. Yeah. I don't know. We had collies and a golden retriever actually when I was growing up. So I always loved dogs, but he's Jojo trying to. Okay, he's like going crazy in there behind you. Yeah. He's got the zoomies. Is that what you call them?
Yes. He's got we've spent all this money on cat toys, and he found one of my daughter's pacifiers.
Oh, okay, because that's more exciting.
Yeah. Just like my kids would rather play with the box that the toys came in than the toys.
Yeah, they're at that age, I guess.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, like that one SpongeBob episode, imagination.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't need anything special.
No. Well, we are coming up on the end of our hour. We've had a very wonderful conversation, but I just want to make sure that we give you the opportunity to let everybody know where they can find you online.
Sure.
So where would our viewers and listeners be able to get in touch with you and listen to your show and read all about you?
Well, that would be at voiceoversandvocals.com. And the podcast is at audiobrandingpodcast.com.
Very cool.
It's actually on voiceoversandvocals.com, and that URL forwards to another page on that website. But if you're on either, you'll find it.
All right.
And it's on all the regular channels that you'd listen to podcasts on. So if you just look for audio branding and you look for my very wacky picture, you will find it.
I can do that.
And if anyone's on Clubhouse, they should look me up.
Oh yeah, I've got to make that note too. Clubhouse.
Yep. Clubhouse. Join the club, the power of sound.
I like that.
And I guess I should just plug my social media so people can find me, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, so you can thanks everyone for listening to this. It was a great Ben, thanks for having me on, and it was very nice to meet you. You run a great show. You have a lot of potential, and you have a lot going on. It was great. It was great talking with you today. You can find me on Facebook at Cyber Time Bite. You can follow me on Twitter at NostalgiaVamp. You can find me on Instagram at Nostalgia Vampire, and you can buy all my merchandise at redbubble.com under Crash Steven Gear with my Spork t-shirt, which you cannot get enough of the Spork. I legit have Spork stuff. I'm not kidding.
I didn't think you were kidding.
I didn't either.
No.
I did not either.
It's all good.
Well, yeah, just everybody, thank you all for listening or watching. Again, my name is Robert, and I have been your host along with Stephen for Let's Chat this evening. You can find out more about the show at www.letschatpodcast.net, on Twitter at Let's Chat Live, and at buymeacoffee.com/Let's Chat Media. Thank you all so very, very much. And Jodi, thank you again. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
Yes. All right. Have a great night.
Bye.
Good one.